This week, an encore, the Hungriest State, the story of those who make their living on the water. Fisherfolk. We meet Frank Parker and Maria Tran, for whom making ends meet on Mississippi's Gulf Coast is easier said than done.
Oh yeah. My name's Frank Parker, and I'm a sixth-generation commercial fisherman from Biloxi, Mississippi. I absolutely knew I was going to be a fisherman forever. I mean, I can remember as a young child, that's all I ever wanted to do was fish. You know, whether it was crabs or fish or shrimp, I was going to be on that water. I've known that my whole life. I started commercial fishing by myself when I was 13 years old, running crab traps before and after school. So, I mean, I've been running these waters for 38 years now, you know? So, to me, it's kind of, you know, I know this water like the back of my hand.
That should be the 5 pound. So this is 30 and 10, 30 and 10 is 40. Oh, look at this one. My name is Maria Tran. I'm a mom of 8. 8. I have 8 kids. Yeah, it's 4 boys and 4 girls. And shrimping, shrimping was not my plan. And 30. Here you go. Thank you. Be 40.
Yes,
Enjoy your crab, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You take care now.
What was the plan?
My plan was to get a good education and be a doctor like every normal kid. Because when I came over in 1975, I was only 4 years old. Most of the people that built the shrimping business that came over from Vietnam had no means of, English, the language barrier, education. So the only thing that make a living out is shrimping. And shrimping is, for them, they pick up really fast. Yeah, they love the hard work because you make money and they could support the family. There's two types of shrimper. One that goes out for a month, that stay out a month. And those are the people that can make the money. Because they stay out there for a whole month, they collect, they hit and collect and accumulate the shrimp, and they come in and they sell to the factory. With us, it's local, we like to sell all fresh. And we only can go about like at nighttime. We leave the dock at 5 and comes in at 7:30. So this, you don't have enough time. So we catch as much as we can and supply our customer, the local, with fresh shrimp. And with just all this rain, it's making it very hard.
So here in Mississippi, we've had a plethora of man-made and natural disasters. Just looking back in recent history, it really started with Hurricane Katrina. That knocked out about half of the commercial shrimp fleet. Then we had the BP oil spill in 2010, and that really has decimated our wild oyster reefs, which is one of the biggest fisheries on the Mississippi coast. We've had next to zero harvest for about the past 10 years since the BP spill. But then we've been plagued with these Bonnie Carey spillway disasters, which we had one in 2016, we had another one in 2018, again in 2019, and in 2020, with 2019 being a record opening, record number of days it was open. And so we just, these guys are tough, these families are tough, but there's only so much you can take. And, they've been dealt a very tough hand.
That's what's sickening right there. Look, dead stingrays, dead catfish. Our season this year in our inshore waters between Louisiana and Alabama, it's probably been the worst year I've ever seen in 30 years. And the main thing is just with the amount of fresh water we've had excessive rainfall, all throughout this area. So, but it's been really, really bad.
Too much water will create the imbalance of the pH, meaning it's going to kill the fish, shrimp, or to dry them further out somewhere. And we're not able to make a living out of it. And I think it was like 2 years ago, when they opened the spillway, there was a lot of algae. See, that's caused algae because the pH in the water is not consistent.
We had a lot of they kept calling it fresh water. Well, when that was water out of the Mississippi River that comes from from Minnesota all the way down the Mississippi River, and that is polluted fresh water. It's not fresh water, it's polluted fresh water. And because we had all that polluted fresh water with all these chemicals in it, it caused some major blue-green algae blooms, other algae blooms, and it put a tarnish on our seafood,
Hello. I only got the large, the jumbo kind. Only the jumbo today.
Those are a little bit too big.
Yes, we are sold out on the small medium this morning, but this is the only thing we have left for the day.
You don't have anything though.
On the shrimp, no, not right now.
You think you will later on today?
No, not quite. Hopefully tomorrow.
What we've seen here over the last several years is due to all the plethora of disasters that we've had. The productivity of the fishing vessels have fallen off. The consistency of the availability of the product has fallen off. And because of that, you don't see people looking for product to buy fresh shrimp right off the vessels as much as you would, say, 5 to 10 years ago.
Do you ever feel pressure? Like, are you ever worried about, are you worried, when you wake up in the morning, are you like, man, I hope we sell enough today?
Yes, I do. You know, yes, I do. I do. Yeah, how are we going to pay the bill, you know? Yeah, I give up everything to, like I said, I give everything up to concentrate on this job. And now, you know, too much rain, it's just very depressing when you go out there at night and you're catching less than 100 pounds. You can go all night and not make it up. You don't even catch enough to make up for the fuel and ice.
It's feast or famine a lot of times, and you have to have really good money management skills, because sometimes you make really good money. You know, when you have that money in your hand, it's like, oh, we're going to buy this, buy that. Well, there's weeks where you're not going to make a whole lot of money, you know. This year in particular, I haven't worked hardly at all on my shrimp boat just because it hasn't been economically feasible. You know, when it cost you, with the price of fuels went up this year substantially since last year, but the price of shrimp is up, but it's still not enough shrimp to catch to make it a bigger profit margin. That's why I've been crabbing. The overhead's a lot lower, so the profit margin's bigger.
When we look at global market factors that have impacted the seafood industry here on the coast, the importation of shrimp, mostly farm-raised shrimp, coming from overseas, from other countries, has really put a lot of pressure on the shrimp industry in particular. We normally would see shrimp prices much higher than they are now 30 years ago.
For the past 30 years, fishing, especially shrimping here in the U.S., here in the Gulf, is very difficult. We have to spend so much money to fill up the diesel tank to go out the fishing for 4 days, 6 days. And then when they come back with their catch, the price is so low. Sometimes the sale that they get out of the catch, that they get out of the shrimp, not been enough to pay for the diesel. Now, why is it that the prices are going down? We know that for a fact. More than 90% of what we eat here in the U.S. is imported. And foreign countries, they have lax regulations. They can do whatever they want as long as they satisfy paperwork and produce those products at very low cost. So bring them in here.
A lot of these imports that come into the country, they're subsidized by their host countries where they're being produced. So that allows them to put them on the market much cheaper and undercut our fishermen here in America. And you know, when a state where everything is, prices are inflating across the board, the cost of materials and supplies are rising, with your product being stable or even decreasing, it makes for very tough market conditions.
You know, it's just hard to compete with rising operating costs on a global market. You know, there's still countries over there where people can make $1 a day and they're doing good. And it's just hard for us to compete on that level here in the United States.
Hard to compete, hard to watch, a tough ship to turn around.